Welcome to Speak for Yourself. I am Jason Whitlock.
You sure?
That is Marcellus Wiley, that dude.
Yes,
Coming
sir.
up, we'll tell you if Mike Tomlin's seat is starting to get warm.
And if Kyrie Irving really needed to apologize to LeBron James. But we start every day with a Whitlock, so what you got today?
Oh, man, you've heard me this week compare Tom Brady to the greatest, Muhammad Ali. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Tom Brady, the greatest athlete of his era. But this weekend and this football season is personal for me. My team has the greatest force in football. My team has the league's most valuable player and the best quarterback in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is the gift the football gods promised me 45 years ago when I first fell in love with a football team. It was back in 1974 when Los Angeles Rams coach Chuck Knox named James Harris his starting quarterback. I was a 7-year-old boy in Indianapolis, and James Harris, the NFL's first black starting quarterback, was my hero. He led the Rams to the NFC West title and a playoff victory over the Minnesota Vikings. I've loved football ever since. In 1994, I moved to Kansas City, and in 1995, the Rams moved to St. Louis. I switched teams. I became friends with Derek Thomas and became the media authority on the Kansas City Chiefs for the next 16 years. I covered old Joe Montana. I saw the Chiefs choose Elvis Grbac over Rich Gannon. I rooted for my dude, Alex Smith, to win it all. I've waited 24 years for Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs fans have been waiting for this kid ever since Len Dawson's last season in 1975. It's our time, and I think Tom Brady and the Patriots know it. That's why they've been reduced to the no one respects us gimmick. These dudes who've won 5 Super Bowls, played in 8 Super Bowls, and this week I stated on live national television that Tom Brady is the competitive equal to Muhammad Ali, but Brady's on TV whining that the Patriots suck and everyone thinks they're gonna lose. Julian Edelman put out a Chiefs hype video daring people to bet against us. Edelman is selling bet against us t-shirts. Stop it. Y'all need to log off Barstool. Dave Portnoy and Bill Simmons can't save the Patriots. Patrick, my homie, is here. It's his time. Nothing lasts forever, Tom. Don't reduce yourself to blogger gimmicks and slogans. Go out like a legend. Don't go out on your knees. You got king's blood in you. All of this whining about a lack of respect is unbecoming of a legend. Do any of y'all watch Game of Thrones? Yeah. One of the most underrated characters was Stannis Baratheon, King Robert Baratheon's brother. If you guys remember, when Stannis died, he took it like a man. Brienne of Tarth stood over him, sentenced Stannis to death. Stannis said, go on, do your duty. That's how kings die, Tom. They die on the battlefield with their dignity intact. Ned Stark died on his knees with his kids whining and crying, mad that King Joffrey did what war required. Chiefs' kingdom is coming. It's our time.
Woo.
Patriots know they're on borrowed time. All right, joining the desk now, two Super Bowl champions, Mark Schlereth and James Harrison. Marcellus, I'll start with you. Unbecoming, all of this gimmick the Patriots have resorted to. Bad luck for Brady and the Patriots.
It is unbecoming, this gimmick. You sit up here with a wig on and KC, and now it's my team again. I've been with you all year.
Patrick Mahomes should look at this and be like, you know what, I should never stop working out because this is what I'm doing.
Smoke, for real. My team.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Great choice of pronoun, huh? First person singular adjective you went. My team. Now they're your team. They were your team all this year, but I'm going to let that go.
Yeah, they were.
You had another point in there, this whole dignity and take it like a man, you're deaf. First of all, I've never died. You haven't either, right? So look, don't tell me how to take it. I'm scared about what's next, and I'm scared of leaving where I am and the people I'm with. The crazy part about this is this dignity, this look, this complexion of how you're supposed to go out.
They selling T-shirts and they got 5 Super Bowl rings. Don't bet against us. Come on, Marcel.
Well, last year, a team didn't have any Super Bowl rings, sold some T-shirts and won a Super Bowl. So you know what? In desperate times calls for desperate measures. And
that's my point.
And I like that because this is not an underdog mask that anyone wakes up in the morning and wants to put on. Everyone who ever has been on record saying, yeah, we relish the underdog role is lying. We all want to be thought of as the favorite. You always want to walk on the field and points are already on the scoreboard. But there is a reality to deal with. You are going against the most potent offense in the NFL. You are going against a team that showed they could play through adversity and the elements. So you know what? That mask that you don't want to wear, put it on. And you're not too big to put it on because this is a moment that they can finally put themselves in a role they haven't been in the playoffs since 2013. So if this team wants to say, let's change it up, let's switch it up, since this is a different reality, I'm all for it. Let's go out there and see what the things happen on the field. We'll
Yeah, you know what? We're simple creatures. And, I mean, whatever it takes to motivate you, you will use that and you will believe it and you will buy into it. Hell, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback that's ever played. Is there any question? Does anybody question that? He still starts to cry when he thinks about the other guys that were drafted before him and he didn't go till the 6th round. Yeah. It's still an emotional factor for Tom Brady. This is not so much for Tom Brady. It's not for the 43. There's 43 guys that are professional. They're going to play. They're going to show up. They're going to do their work. It's for the 10 guys that are fringe guys. And if I get those 10 guys during the course of a week of practice to really hone in, to really get their stuff together, James Harris is going to work out regardless. I know that. I see his videos, right? I mean, it's like one day. I mean, lay on your couch, eat a burger, right? Just one day. I'm just asking you. From me to you, just lay down. But he's not going to do it because he's a professional. But there's 10 guys in there choosing, how I'm going to work this week, how I'm going to prepare this week. If I get the best out of those guys and get the best out of my team during that week of preparation, it can't help but flow into Sunday, into the game when I play, and it can't help but make us a better football team. That's what this is about.
Right. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like on the outside, looking in, I was like you. I'm like this is phony. Everybody against New England, all that. But it's real. Like I have no problem with this. They really believe that. They feel that. I felt that. I was only there for 6 weeks, and I'm like, yeah, it's New England versus everybody. Everybody hates us. Nobody loves us but New England. That's how I felt when I got there. And when you buy into that, like he said, you getting those 10 guys that really. To buy into that, you go out there and you give everything you got. I'm not going to lie. I was watching film before we played Jacksonville, man, and I watched the tight end, Mercedes, and I watched him just bow over one of the linebackers before while they were playing Pittsburgh. And I'm like, oh, my God, did Mercedes just get strong? Like, I hit the weight room twice a day after I saw that video because I didn't want to be the one on video getting knocked to the ground and threw around. Like, you really believe that it's New England, it's us versus everybody.
To me, this is the first sign of weakness I've seen and sign of doubt I've seen from the Patriots and Brady. Running around like, they're 3-point underdogs because the game's on the road. That's the only reason. If the game was in New England, they'd be favored. There's no disrespect here. Tom Brady, and again, at the beginning of the week.
No disrespect. You just said they won 5 Super Bowls. They've been to 8 of them. I don't care if it's in the middle of BFE. We should be favored.
Immediately after beating the Chargers and clown suiting the Chargers, Tom Brady's on national TV talking, everybody thinks we suck. Everybody thinks we're going to lose. That's a gimmick. To me, that's not a sign of confidence. That's a gimmick. They know they really – again, Belichick's record in the playoffs is great.
Oh, yeah.
It's not so great when he sees a team for the second time after seeing them in the regular season. He's actually kind of average, 12-9, and I think he knows, like, we shot our best shot against Kansas City in the regular season. I don't think they have a plan B for Kansas City this time around. I think they know they caught a bad San Diego game plan. I think they know they're vulnerable, and I think they know the Chiefs right now are ascending. Defense just played the best game of its season last week, and playing in Arrowhead in that cold weather with that quarterback and Tyreek Hill, I think they know what's coming.
Well, see, what I don't like about what you're saying is the summation is this is them showing their first sign of weakness, and then more will come. The dominoes are falling. But don't be too cool for school. Like Sheriff said, motivation could come in many ways, many forms, and many styles. And I like the fact that this is a team, despite all of its greatness, that's not too cool for school. Saying, you know what? We are going to let the world know now that we feel like we're underdogs. But this criticism has been internalized all year long. Tom Brady and those guys may have finally shown us the mask of underdog, but they've been thinking that way all year long, and that's been part of their motivation. They said, we've heard, we've been hearing. They didn't say, in this interview, this is a revelation. We didn't know that you thought this of us. So part of their motivation to get to this place once again, despite the fractures in the organization and the aging roster and the depleted talent roster, is they're still thinking we got to go to work. And they're thinking that's going to come in the underdog version. To me, it's a sign of strength.
Look, Barstool Sports has been the biggest Patriot supporters. They sell the T-shirts. They had the Goodell clown T-shirts and everything. And I got it. Again, and I'm sure the Patriots love it, that Barstool Sports and Portnoy, they all cape up for them. But this Edelman and Brady now reducing themselves to acting like bloggers and feeling like they have to go there instead of letting New England and all their super fans from Bill Simmons and everybody else to do it. A guy with 5 Super Bowls in his record of accomplishment, a guy that's being compared to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali ain't,
All
he
that
don't
you
need to
just
do
said,
this.
You don't think the 3-point underdog makes him feel disrespected? Everything that you're saying, die like a man, take it like, what that mean? I'm supposed to just sit here? I wouldn't have laid there against a tree and let her cut me up. I'd have pulled out a sword and let you take it from me. Like, what are we talking about? If I'm going to die like a man, I'm going to go out fighting, and that's what they're doing. They're going out fighting.
And can we not run with this die like a man? Because everybody always says that. You stub your toe, you cry like a baby.
Yeah.
And that's stubbing your toe. You ain't even getting killed yet. Imagine it's your moment of death. You sitting there like, I'm going to give this last look of I'm strong and have value.
King's blood in me.
Man, I don't care what blood I got.
King's blood in you.
It's about to be over. I'm crying.
I'm crying like a baby.
Please don't do it.
I have what they call emotional incontinence. I'll cry at a Disney movie. You know what? If it motivates you, if it inspires you, and the feeling is real. I mean, I've been in Super Bowls I've been in one Super Bowl where I was a mass underdog to the Green Bay Packers, and that feeling was real. Us against the world, disrespected, 13-point underdogs, up yours. We're going to show you what we're made of. Absolutely, it's 100% real.
And when Tyreek Hill gets deep on them, all of that little fake emotion and the T-shirts and the bet against us, because the Chiefs have an amazing first possession run. They come right out and jump right on you. And when Tyreek Hill and them jump right on them, all that little T-shirt and all that other stuff, to me, I think they know this whole season, Gronk's not the same Gronk.
Right.
They're not the same. And it's great what Sony Michel did, but that's not a proof.
But they're not going to blame the T-shirts because the coach got smoked and they didn't have T-shirts. So T-shirts or no T-shirts. If the smoke is coming, be ready for the smoke. But I'm not going to put that on. This is not a distraction to the Patriots. It sounds like it's a motivating factor, and it sounds like it's a mindset that they've already embraced.
Who's winning the game?
Chiefs. But guess what? I would have said that last week with the shirtless coats. Guess what? It don't matter. I don't care what you're doing on the outside.
Who's winning the game?
I'm taking the Patriots.
Ooh.
Why?
Just because of Tom Brady, because of Bill Belichick, because of the ability to game plan. I think the Chiefs are the more talented football team. By far the more talented football team. I think one thing that we saw last week, the pressure that Andrew Luck was in. Tom Brady is so good at getting rid of the ball, so good at getting the ball out to his back, so good at not letting you. He runs protection for his football team. He's like Peyton Manning. You get the ball out in 1.7 seconds. Even if James Harrison and I are blocking, I'm blocking him. If the ball's out in 1.7 seconds, guess what? Even if I don't touch him, he can't get there.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of what they do. So I'm going to take the coaching now. I could be entirely wrong, and I've pretty much been wrong throughout the playoffs. But I'm taking the Patriots.
James,
I'm taking the Patriots. You got to knock me off the throne. You got to come get it. Yeah, Mahomes coming up the hill, but until you get up there and knock me off of it, it's my hill.
But is that the same in football? I mean, it sounds great. It sounds great, but it's not the same team. It's not the same.
It don't matter. It's Tom Brady.
You got to go get it every year.
It's Tom. Exactly.
And Tom Brady hasn't gotten it every year, so someone is coming to knock them off the throne.
No question.
8 straight AFC championships.
Yeah, but he hasn't won 8 straight Super Bowls.
No, he hasn't won 8 straight.
Yeah,
But he
yeah,
got
that's
5.
my
He got
point.
the top number. He's been to 8 of them.
But listen, like Nick Saban
what are we
always
talking
says,
about?
a team doesn't defend a
So
championship.
if Tom Brady loses the Super Bowl, whoever beats him, you're going to say that's the #1 quarterback now?
Well, right now, Patrick Mahomes losing this game is still the #1 quarterback right now. He's the MVP. I'm not going in that conversation. I'm saying, as Nick Saban says, no team defends a championship because, one, all of you guys didn't win that championship. So you have to go out there and make your mark.
I'm talking about the greatest to ever do it at that position.
Okay.
I'm not going to go ahead and give it up just because he's coming. He got to get there and knock him off. Now you take it.
Okay.
All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley, Mark Schlereth, and James Harrison are back. Time now for a big story, sponsored by Papa John's. 2 medium, 1 topping pizzas, just $6 each. All right, let's move to Pittsburgh, where Antonio Brown may not be the only Steeler whose future with the team is up in the air. While team president Art Rooney says he feels good about extending Ben Roethlisberger's contract, he didn't make the same commitment when asked about extending Mike Tomlin, saying, quote, "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it." I think they're making a mistake here, putting Big Ben and Mike Tomlin on unequal footing. Big Ben, to me, I've said it all year, I think he's a questionable leader, and I think he's a force in that locker room that needs to be neutralized or balanced out by your head football coach, Mike Tomlin. And with Ben having more security moving forward than Tomlin, I think that's a bad recipe and a mistake.
I think the business scope makes you understand why they're not addressing right now Mike Tomlin, but prioritizing Ben Roethlisberger. It's basically because of cap space. Only 5 teams have worse cap situations going into 2019 than the Steelers. And every time you're in the NFL, you hear about your quarterback re-upping. You're like, damn, he just signed a deal. Re-up. Why? It's just to get more cap space, to get more guys in here, more opportunities, more flexibility to deal Antonio Brown potentially, since he's second on the team in terms of his cap hit. So I just think that this was simply, hey, let's give ourselves flexibility. We know we're going to keep Roethlisberger. We know we're going to keep Tomlin. But one of them has a muscular move in it, which means I'm going to get more out of this one deal, which is with Roethlisberger, than I will out of Tomlin. Tomlin, you're not a lame duck coach. Next year, you're under contract, and the year after.
Oh, before you go, Mark, or James, generally speaking, the Pittsburgh Steelers have addressed their coach with 2 years left on his contract.
Right.
So this is different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem with it, because if I'm looking at it like I think the Steelers are looking at it, they came in. If they come in without Ben Roethlisberger, then who is going to get the ball to these weapons they have? If you don't have Mike Tomlin, and obviously right now they're in a position where they're thinking about, we're going to see how things work out, see how next year works out, and if everything works out fine, then we'll re him up. Right now, they need to be able to have a quarterback. That's the guy that grabs the ball the most. That's the guy that holds on to the ball the most. You got a potential Hall of Fame quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. You need to have him. I don't have a problem with them, stating the facts that they did.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like one thing, that Ben Roethlisberger is a Hall of Famer, right? And you may question his leadership, and that's fine. And, I can question the locker room in general. That's fine. I can have an opinion on that. I can have an opinion on Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger. But the bottom line is, my experience in the National Football League says the head coach has to be in charge. And I think this is, let's see if you can fix the locker room issues that we have as our head coach, because they have to be fixed. You have too much damn talent on that football team to not be a playoff football team. There's just too much damn talent. And I don't know how anybody, I don't know how anybody can watch what Ryan Shazier has gone through, to watch him will himself back to walking and go through the injury he went through and be selfish, be a selfish football player. When that guy's around, that befuddles me. I have no comprehension how that can happen. And that happened on your watch. And so if I'm the Steelers ownership, I'm saying, you got to fix this locker room. And that may mean just moving Antonio Brown. Maybe it fixes itself. But I'm with you. I think there's a lack of overall leadership from the guys that you're paying the most money to. And that can't be. That can't happen.
It sounds like from James and Mark, they believe, and so do I, that they're warming up Tomlin's seat. He's on a hot seat.
Yeah, and I disagree with that. And I'm going to even use Art Rooney II's words to support it. He says those are the type of things and you're talking about Mike Tomlin's contract, that we'll get to later in the offseason. Later in the offseason, after we have dealt with cap space and flexibility, we'll get to you, Mike Tomlin, because like you said, standard practice is 2 years from your contract expiring. We'll address it. So I think
Coach's money don't hit cap space, though.
Right, exactly. So we're going to address the cap space issue, which is more important than you. Tomlin, we know we're going to take care of you. We have pressing needs first, before the draft, before
He also said, though, Rooney also said they're going to hire someone, or they're considering hiring someone to help him with game management.
Yeah.
Time, clock, replay, all of that.
Why? Because he's 0-9 in
Yeah,
his
he's
replay.
missed 10 straight replay deals or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, anytime they start bringing in a coach to help you be the head coach, they're warming up your seat. I don't know if this gets addressed this offseason. It may get addressed midway through the 2019 season if things are going
But hasn't
well.
he already survived that with Arians and Haley, and we're bringing in people that necessarily you're not signing on? The word is
survive them all.
The word is that Tomlin has never had that personnel control, whether it's on
No,
the.
no.
Okay, good. Address it. Please help me.
That's not true. I believe that he has got a lot more control over the course of the last 3 or 4 years. And I believe he's gotten so much control that maybe everything or the control that he has wasn't recognized or known to Mr. Rooney. And now maybe some of those things are getting recognized and he's starting to see and know about them. That's just how I feel.
Reining him back in a little. Huh?
That's how I feel about it.
He's on a hot seat.
I would
going
say,
into this season.
right. I would say this is a season for him to either make it or they're going to give him a chance, obviously, to right the ship. I believe.
Wow, that's
I got to
unreal.
ask you a question because
Unreal.
I've heard this from several Steelers players, and I've never asked you about this. A mantra that he has used: "I'm going to allow it, or I'm going to put up with
I'm going
it,
to tolerate it
until I can replace it." And that to me is that's a mantra of I'm going to put up with guys who are paying
Whatever
my
I
backside
have to until I have someone else that can come in and I
right.
can replace
And that's to me that's a disaster. You're just asking for issues. That's me, because not everybody's as mature as you, or mature as you, or mature as me in a locker room. So if I'm a superstar and you're saying I'm going to put up with it until I can replace it, well, you can't replace Antonio Brown's production. I mean,
Well,
he's
they're about to.
Antonio Brown.
Well, you know what? Bill Parcells used to live by the same way, just different verbiage. Pete Carroll gives his players tremendous emotional latitude. I'm not mad at that, because that's basically saying, look, I need self-motivated individuals who understand what's most important. And if not, we'll weed you out.
Listen, here's my thought on like, I need self-motivated players too. I need a coach. Like, your coach's job is not to motivate you. You got to be motivated. Your coach's job, to me, is to inspire you, right? To get you to play for that coach. And so I just look at
Tomlin's
this.
done that, no?
Well, I know he has, but I just look at the mess that's going on right now. Like I said, coming into this, you have way too much talent on that. You got 3 or 4 guys on your offensive line that are Pro Bowlers and All Pro. You got 2 receivers that are Pro Bowlers. You got a quarterback that's a Pro Bowler. You got tight ends that are very capable and good players. I mean, you have got, just on your offense alone, you've got 5 or 6 guys who are Pro Bowl players. You've got too much talent.
Marcellus, as
to not
a writer,
be a playoff team.
as a writer, all words matter. And so the fact that Bill Parcells may say the same thing but say it differently might mean he may say it effectively. Whereas if Tomlin is saying it the way that it's being said, Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown might hear that and be like, well, hell, y'all ain't got a quarterback better than me. Y'all don't have a wide receiver better than me. I can do whatever the hell I want.
Okay, all words matter? Well, then let's listen to the owner words himself. When he told your team was a circus, a mess, he says, it's nonsense. He came on record, said nonsense. We're half a game away from winning the division, and we had tons of opportunities. Nonsense. So
With your number 1 receiver sitting on the sideline and went home.
Oh, really? We're gonna
That's
go
a
there.
circus, Marcellus.
That's a circus? Did Bill Parcells ever coach a circus? Because Bill Parcells got into a fight with one of his receivers.
No. But when the second highest paid guy on your team doesn't play in your must-win to make the playoff game, won't practice, that's a circus.
Jimmy Johnson and those Cowboys that were winning 3 or 4 championships, that wasn't a circus?
They play.
Oh,
on
and he has the
Sundays.
highest win percentage of all coaches in Steelers history? Oh, that's a circus? Okay.
Whitlock and Wiley, we're joined now by NBA champion Dante Jones. Let's move to the NBA, where Kyrie Irving, who had a big game last night, dropping 27 points and 18 assists in a win over Toronto. Kyrie made waves last week after getting into it with Brad Stevens and Gordon Hayward during a loss in Orlando, and yesterday admitted the incident inspired him to reach out to a guy he used to have friction with, LeBron James.
It was a big deal for me because I had to call Bron, and tell him, like, I apologize for being that young player that wanted to everything at his fingertips, and I wanted everything to be at, my threshold. I wanted to be the guy that led us to championship. I wanted to be the leader. I wanted to be all that, and the responsibility of being the best player in the world and leading a team is something that's not meant for many people. And Bron was one of those guys that came to Cleveland and tried to really show us what it's like to win a championship, and it was hard for him. And sometimes getting the most out of the group, it's not the easiest thing in the world.
The question is, do we think that's an indication Kyrie regrets leaving LeBron's side? I'm not going to go first. I'm going to let y'all go first.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think he regrets leaving LeBron. I think he regrets how he responded to LeBron in that moment, but those are two different things. I think he's now owning up to the fact that, God, Kyrie's 26 right now. Like, LeBron James comes into your building and you're 23. We have to respect in our maturation that we walk, we jog, we run. And even when you're running as a leader, there's still gears to shift to go even faster, be even better as that same leader. He's just hitting a different gear right now, and respect for him for exercising that demon that was the regret of how I responded to you, LeBron, and calling LeBron himself personally and taking all that fire back. Respect for him for doing that.
Okay, first of all, he's 22, and
22, even younger.
We're 21 and 22. The decisions that we made in life, some of those we wish we could get back. Now, I appreciate the opportunity for you to let us to go first because it's going to be rare in life. We might not get it back. But I equate that to the growing pains of leadership. And he was going through a tough time. He saw how he reacted on TV. He knew it was wrong. He looked in the mirror and said, I'm wrong for this. But when he started looking in the mirror, he was like, you know what? That was me. And that's the things that I did. And I equate that to he was always going to regret it. I knew he was always going to regret it. Two great people. It wasn't that he wasn't a good person, a good kid. It was just the fact that he was given so much at that point in time. He was an all-star. He had his own shoe. He thought he had figured it out. He was on his way.
No,
I'm talking about before that. When he was trying to get these lessons from LeBron, he was so resistant because he thought he had this thing figured out. And LeBron had a little patience with him, was like, listen, there's some things that I can give you, but you have to listen and take it. And that's what their friction was. I always knew he was going to regret it, but I thought it was going to be later in his career when he understood, kind of like as parents with our kids. Our parents yelled at us and told us we couldn't have these things, and we don't sit back and understand those things until we have kids and we look at them and tell them these things, understood why our parents was taking these things away from us. And it's awesome that he can admit that right now and give thanks and go ahead and apologize because that shows his growth and his maturity.
Let's be sure it's regret and not a shot at his young teammates in Boston. What if he's really trying to say it's really more of a message to them? It's a way of saying these kids are acting the way that I did when I was in Cleveland, and now I'm the best player here, and these guys won't follow my leadership the way I wouldn't follow LeBron's. What if it's not regret, it's more of a message to his current teammates?
It's a message, but it's a message that I have to step up and be more responsible. He's not putting all the blame on them. He's saying, you know what, I have to be what Bron was for me. And that was on the daily be responsible for my teammates, on the daily be responsible for my actions, on the daily bring it, on the daily lead. That consistent level of leadership is what he's speaking to.
You scoot over here next to Whitlock. You got me thinking over here. And one of the things about clout chasing, and I'm not saying Kyrie needs to clout chase LeBron, but in that matchup, LeBron got more clout. You get in a conversation that is of higher status, it's a higher magnitude. So now Kyrie is putting himself in a LeBron discussion in terms of leadership, right or wrong, who's a better leader? We know that answer. But he's in that discussion, separating himself from the players he just dissed. Why are you going on record talking about you talk to LeBron as a leader to say this is how I learned how to deal with you? They've been saying keep it in-house. They've been saying don't criticize us to the media. And now your apology and the credit is going out to the media. If I were that other player, Jaylen Brown especially, I'm sitting there like, bruh, you saying a lot to them and we need to hear more to us, wouldn't you?
Well, yes, he's speaking to the media, but he also embarrassed them to the media as well. So it's kind of like you have to give your apology to them in private and in public because your actions spoke 1,000 words that you really can't take back unless you give it to him.
A little suspicious, like just a little reasonable doubt. Like
I'm not because he's putting them in a perspective of a mistake that he made, and he's giving you a storyline, not just the words. He's giving you like, I was this, I chose this, I kind of ran from the leadership and what I was being taught. And I don't want this to happen to us. I want to be able to be responsible for them because he's seen some of his inconsistency in his leadership.
All right, I can't wait to hear you on this next one, Dante. To college basketball, where Zion Williamson is fresh off his biggest game of the year, dropping 35 points and 10 boards in a loss to Syracuse Monday. But after her teammate Trey Jones got hurt in the game, NBA legend Scottie Pippen says Zion should, quote, shut it down to avoid risking a major injury that could derail his NBA career. I'm going to fire third again. Should Zion consider shutting it down?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're seeing it right now in football. You're starting to see the numbers increase, including the #1 draft choice potentially in 2019 in Nick Bosa. We're starting to see guys like, hey, man, if situations arise where, A, I know my draft position relatively is high, and B, I have something to deal with in terms of injury or anxiety towards the injury, then I'm going to tap out. Guys are missing ball games, important games. Guys are just saying, hey, there are too many workout gurus who can give you as much as you want off the field, off the court, as you can on the court when the NCAA is forcing these kids to meet their minimum requirements to go to the next level. If I am already satisfying that in terms of me being a prospect, what am I doing out there playing against Akron or whatever it may be? I'm not doing that. I'm not risking it. I'm here with a means to an end. I'm keeping my eye on the prize, and if it's to go pro and I already qualify, what am I doing in this collegiate
Dante,
experience?
before you fire, I just want you to know, Coach K is watching. I talked to him before the show. Go ahead.
Why he doesn't quit is because it shows something about your character. And you signed up for something. You could have not went to college. You could have went prep, and you could have waited till you're 19. You could have gone to another school and done this. But he went to Duke because he obviously wanted to be a part of something special. He chose to play with players who are in his light. So guys who are looked at in the top 5 in the draft because he wanted to be a part of something special. So if you quit, you show about your character if you can lead an NBA team when things may not be in your favor. And I think he is more high character than that. Not if he went to Duke or if he went to the other school. You'd be quitting on an institution. You'd be quitting on your teammates. You'd be quitting on a process of getting better and learning more about basketball.
You used the word quit about 4 times when I know that they forced him to sign into this situation because
you didn't have to sign. You could have went overseas.
Okay.
You had many routes to go to. You chose to go. He could have went to Clemson. He could have went to some other schools where he could have been the man and got to be the #1 pick. He chose to go to a school that was going to fight for a national championship.
Right,
so he wanted to go to the NCAA tournament and probably fulfill one of his dreams.
The pressure that is put on his hand and that pen to sign there, we know is to optimize your opportunity. And he has optimized it and he has fulfilled it, to me, enough where he could get into the NBA draft and get picked. Give you a case in point, high character guy, Trevor Lawrence. Wall Street Journal wrote an article saying he needs to sit out the next 2 years. Trevor Lawrence, if he sits out the next 2 years, is still going to be a top 10 pick, maybe #1 pick. Why go through the rigors? And people don't think of basketball as a physical sport. Ask his teammate, ask Zion.
I'm sure the person who wrote that Wall Street Journal has never played an inch of college athletics or played it at that light. He is one of the things that we are not. The #1 pick in the NBA draft.
Right.
So he's going to be that regardless. But
so
you cannot get back experiences. And playing in college basketball and playing for a national championship is an experience that I can't replace with anything else.
Boy, that sounds like, look, you keep your eye on the prize. If your goal is to go pro, don't get caught in this sitcom
But some people, see, and that's why how I explain this whole Duke dynamic. People think that you go to Duke for something else but you go for the experience. You go to play for Coach K. You go to be a part of something. You just don't go just to be the number
So
one
why
pick.
do you leave it in a one-and-done situation?
Because you
met the minimum requirement.
You go to learn. There's a minimum
What?
requirement,
A
but it's
quarter
not
of
all.
learning?
It's not all the NCAA that it's your minimum requirement. Guys are taking other paths. You could go make more money and take another path. So it's not the only path right now. So if you take on that jersey, you want to go for a year. It may not be 4 years. You want to go learn. You want to go play, and you want to go be a part of something. And I think that's what he went for because he's having a blast. He gives energy. The one thing I like about the kid, he plays hard regardless of what he is on a draft board. He's giving life to his teammates. He's trying to learn and be better and be a more well-rounded basketball player, and that comes with more reps. And I don't think the injury that happened to Trey Jones, I don't think it's going to happen to that bulldozer.
All right, let me say this. I agree with both of you. I really.
But I agree with him, too, though. Like, I understand his perspective, and I'm not
made
saying he's wrong.
awesome points about, hey, man, you could have went to South Carolina.
Right.
But you went to Duke to play for a national championship. You wanted the whole Duke experience. You want to be part of the Duke family. But I totally agree with you. Quitting, to me, isn't what he would be doing. Taking care of himself and his family is what he would be doing if he chose to step away. And then the other part of me wants this whole amateurism system destroyed. And so I love seeing these kids pull the rug out from underneath these schools and universities that are making money off them. They need to figure out a way to compensate these pro-level players, the upper echelon players, while they're in college, to take this pull away from them. Compensate them. The NBA, the NFL should work with these universities to take care of these guys while they're in college, the ones with great pro prospects. All right, welcome back. Time to get antisocial. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley, joined by James Harrison and Mark Schlereth. Time for my favorite segment.
There it is.
Our
Look at
social media manager.
That
Darnell
pregnant
Smith
pause.
is in the
Right.
house.
Time for my pregnant segment. What are you doing?
He's so excited.
Yeah, no, he pumped.
Excited. I'm very excited.
Let's do it.
All right, Darnell, walk us through these Twitter streets.
Yes, sir. Moving on to Fox's new hit TV show, The Masked Singer.
For real.
Where last night the deer was eliminated from competition and everyone was trying to guess who was underneath the mask. Social media was torn. Most people thought it was Peyton Manning, but others guessed it right, saying it was our guy, Hall of Fame quarterback Terry Bradshaw. Surprisingly, he actually wasn't terrible. But would you guys ever do something like this?
Yeah, I'd love to sing, even though I can't. And so
Let's hear
I
it.
think it's somehow auto-tune my voice. I would love. I'm trying to think of what I would sing if I was.
Luther Vandross?
No.
Freddie
You
Jackson?
know, my favorite song is "Let's Chill" by Guy. I think it's by Guy.
Adele, too.
No,
See, look at that face. I know
Oh, I
you love
do
Adele.
love it.
You love Adele.
I
Look at
do
her.
love
And she
Adele.
don't move either, so you can just stand still and
Yeah.
just go. easy money right there, Adele. I would do it. Everybody would do it. But I am not a fan of karaoke, which is a close version of that, where everyone goes out there and tries to sing, and you know you can't. I know I'm not doing it for real, so I would do it, and especially it's in the Fox family. Why don't they ask us? Huh? Well, anybody?
Man, I have not one musical bone in my body.
Really?
Oh, I'm awful.
Barry White, you got that deep voice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Barry White.
There we
Literally,
go.
Barry White.
Very
White.
I'm fish belly white, man. Come on, I'm from Alaska. What am I gonna say?
Very well. Right on.
I ain't gonna lie, I used to be able to hit a note or two, until I started playing this football thing. I actually had a career that I could have went into R&B, but my heart was into football, so I went with the football thing. But it's
Hey,
something
dog,
that-
you lying? Football don't take your vocal cords.
R&B.
I was yelling.
You mean rough bouncer?
I was
Is that
yelling and
R&B?
screaming,
rough bouncer.
calling out
Rough
signals,
bouncer.
making sure they can hear you. 65,000 people screaming, took my voice away.
And there's so many
I can still, you know
athletes
what?
that can sing. Can you get a note right now? Because I don't believe you.
Give me a little bit of tea and I'm gonna hit that thing. It's water. That's water.
He talking about
Man, come
He
on.
caught a
I got
blitz
it.
and lost his voice.
Fox, holla at your boy. I'm right here.
All right, to a video that's been going viral. Oh, I'm sorry. Darnell, what's next?
So a video's been going viral on
There it is.
Adam Schefter posted this clip of 320-pound West Illinois D tackle Kalen Saunders doing some backflips. The NFL draft prospect is added to a draft stock by showing off his athleticism. Saunders is heading to the Senior Bowl next week, and as a fellow big guy myself, I must say it's pretty impressive. But James, you're famous for your crazy workouts.
Yeah.
Are you impressed by that?
That's power. That's explosion. That's everything. That is very impressive. 320-pound man doing that. Man, I ain't been able to do a back flip since I was like 155 pounds. Like it's over. That's power.
That's when you were singing that R&B back then.
Listen, man. Listen, I'm gonna stop playing with you, man. I used to serenade them to sleep. They call me. I'll be on the phone. You know, in high school, like they be like, "Can you sing to me?" I'll be like, "Yeah, I got you." You know. Go ahead, sing them to sleep.
So you ain't call no blitzes in high school?
No,
You still had your voice?
I was just, I didn't have to make no calls then. I was playing running back. I was listening to what the quarterback was saying.
I'm gonna tell you what, if the game turns out to be a backflip contest, I want him on my team. If they just say, hey, we're gonna line up and do backflips and the last guy standing wins, then I want that guy. I don't know if he can play, but the backflips
Oh, he's
are present.
explosive, bro.
Power.
Hey, so is diarrhea. I don't want it every day. I mean, I get explosive, but you know, it doesn't mean you can play football.
I don't know, man. I bet you Aaron Donald
be able
can
to
do
move
stuff
now.
like that.
Oh, I'm sure he can. Aaron Donald's the best player in National Football League. That doesn't make him Aaron Donald.
No,
he's
but
explosive.
hey, that's a lot. I mean, that's why we go to the combine to show you what your athletic base looks like. Doesn't translate always to the sport,
Right.
but it does show you athleticism. Shout out to
You gotta be
Proactive
fast.
Sports also, which is right down the street. That's where he did that at.
All right, Darnell, what's next?
Staying on the gridiron, Redskins running back Chris Thompson shared a story on Twitter of when Adrian Peterson first visited their facility before joining the team. Thompson said he went to talk to AP, assuming he knew who he was because of how well he played the last year. Apparently, the future Hall of Famer had no idea and asked Thompson mid-convo, so you play cornerback? Twitter assumed AP was just joking, but Thompson doubled down by saying AP seriously had no clue who anyone was. Y'all think AP actually didn't know, or was he just trying to stunt?
I think he really didn't know.
Right.
Like a lot of the times you just don't know, especially just getting there or new guys coming in. Like if you didn't play like 6 or 7 years with me, I probably can't remember your name. I'm not gonna lie.
Ain't that true? Like, if they
Yeah.
showed a team photo.
Oh, yeah.
of
They'd be
the
like,
team
who is
you were
everybody?
on,
Yeah, I'll be like,
who's number 63?
I don't know.
Who's 75 right
Right.
there, right? It's
hey man,
crazy.
y'all remember who 75 was 2010? Like,
That's pretty humbling. That's pretty humbling for Chris Thompson. You in the league, and your peers don't even know who you are. But I kind of like him revealing this over Twitter.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, though. Like, most of the time when you're, as a player, you're studying film, you're like, when I'm studying defensive film, I'm like, whoa, that 99 guy can move. Or that,
Right.
I don't know the guy's name. I'm just like, hey, 97, when he comes in, his arm over move, man, it's something serious, you know? So I got to take it away. I don't know anybody's name when I was in the league.
How many times you go to Super Bowl and you're like, hey, what's up, dog? Oh, okay. And then you be
Yeah.
like, oh, that's you. And you be like, oh, what's
hey,
up?
we just had our 10-year reunion, and I'm dapping up people and everything, and it's one guy, and I'm like, man, who was that? Man, he played right next. He was a D line. I'm like, you for real? Man?
Hey, what's up, man?
All right, Darnell, what's next?
Yeah, man, it's probably my favorite one. So this lady was at a yoga studio and ran into A-Rod, but didn't know it was A-Rod. Take a listen.
You got me thinking now.
Yeah, A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez. There we go.
Who's that?
That's the guy that J-Lo's dating.
You kidding me? Oh, that guy's handsome. What happened to the guy in the pajamas?
Are you? You're not, right?
No. That can't be. Hey, nice to meet you.
Oh my. Holy. Oh my God.
Do y'all think this was real?
I'm trying to define
That's
who was
real.
flirting.
Oh no, no.
I
Better stop. Not a J-Lo. Not come on
There's a
now.
lot of people in that studio, and that's the one. Okay, all right, A-Rod. Better keep it focused. It was real by A-Rod, and it was fake by her. Because you know how many times people come up to you and they be like,
What I'm saying.
They're not sure though.
No.
Sometimes they're not sure. They're sure. They kind of like they're looking. They're like it looks like him, but I'm not sure. I just had it before I walked over here. Guy was like, "You look like James." I'm like, "I get that all the time." He's like, "Oh, I'm like, dude, I get it all the time." He's like, "Can I take a picture?" I'm like, "Yeah, take a picture." He's like, "What's your name?" So I can tell my friends I'm from Mexico. I'm like James Harrison.
okay, now he's from Mexico. She didn't sound like she was from Mexico either. But
Your story fell apart when
No.
you said somebody came up to me. Nobody comes in. They're
Yes, they
scared to death
do.
of you. Nobody comes up
Yes,
to
they
him.
do.
They go from a distance. They go, I think that's James Harrison.
If you
I'm
catch me
scared
with
to
the
go over
smile,
there.
see if I smile, it's like they like, oh, I could walk up to him, but as soon as I see him coming up, like,
oh. See, Debo,
Then they
that
walk
ain't
away.
right. They faking the funk. This is what happened. They go up to you, they say, hey, you look like James Harrison. You say, no, that's not me.
No,
you
I don't
sure
lie.
that's not James Harrison?
I don't
no,
lie.
no.
I say,
you know
look.
what? You are James Harrison. I'm saying, well, why didn't you just say that from the beginning? People do that all the time, like they stumble their way into really.
I'm telling you, they're not sure. I've got away with it a bunch of times where they be like, you look like, I'll be like, I get that all the time. They be like, that's crazy, you look just like him, but thanks anyway, and they walk away.
Yeah.
All right, well, I
All
like what I
right,
do.
James, we're going to put you to the test. We found some tea for you to sing.
Yeah.
Come on, James.
Yeah.
Does that tea have honey in it? 'Cause it's got
And you ain't called no
We found
blitz in a
some
while,
tea
so your voice
for you to
is fresh.
sing.
Oh, this ain't black tea.
Oh, man.
You gotta get black tea. You gotta get black tea to me for my vocals to get right. I'm sorry.
Now you
This
need
ain't
the
it.
tea of the people?
Other people. Hey, other people. I gotta call Cap and see if I'm allowed to do this. I gotta see.
He need permission.
I gotta get permission from Cap and them. You know?
I'm Jason Whitlock. He's Marcellus Wiley. Time to put on our thinking caps. Mark Schlereth, Idaho's very own, is joining us as well. Do you have your transcripts from Idaho? Can we?
No.
All right, as you all know, I'm a journalist. We've got our resident Ivy Leaguer here, Marcellus, Columbia's very own. We're going to take a deeper look at some big issue in the sports world. Got a special cap for Marcellus. Darnell, bring it out.
What?
Oh, boy.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Baby. All right. 2019, new jeans. New jeans, baby, new jeans.
We've got all of America on the hunt for Marcellus's transcripts at Columbia.
They'll never find them. Burned and destroyed. Spygate, baby.
All right, let's move to the NFL, where both of this week's conference championship games feature matchups of youth and experience, with the 24-year-old Jared Goff facing off with 40-year-old Drew Brees in New Orleans, while 23-year-old Patrick Mahomes will take on 41-year-old Tom Brady in Kansas City. Obviously, Brady and Brees have been down this road before, while Mahomes and Goff are still emerging as two of the new faces of the league. The question is, what's better? Obviously, I'm rooting for the Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
But what's better for the NFL? For the young guard to rise and ascend to the Super Bowl, Mahomes and Goff, or Brady and Brees, old reliable, the old guard to have one more fling? Again, I'm rooting for the Chiefs, but I think for the NFL, nostalgia and history sell.
Yes.
Brady, Brees is the better story.
Exactly. You can extract the economics from that and just start to look at the bases. Boston is coming if New England makes it again. Oh, we love Boston. It's not a bigger market than Los Angeles, but boy, they have more passion and they're going to travel well, and the NFL loves those economics. And then also New Orleans, Super Bowl's in Atlanta, a little close proximity. New Orleans, we know their fever pitch in terms of their fandemonium. I just think the NFL wants to extract more out of the game in terms of ratings, in terms of fan base, in terms of economics, and it's with the old guard. It's kind of what goes on in L.A. with the Lakers versus Clippers. A lot of that is just tradition, history, greatness, and you just bet on old reliable. You can roll out that marketing plan that you already wrote years ago and Xeroxed 8 times for the Patriots, and you know that that's going to work and that's going to sell. So the economics is just going to be the answer, and it's with the old ones.
I'm not going to disagree with the economics of it, but I want to see the young guard. I mean, I know what Brees and Brady are. They're Hall of Famers. They've done this time and time and time again. I want to see the next young guns, the guys. Can they carry the torch? Can they do what Brady and Brees have done for all these years? You know, that's what I want to see. I mean, Tom Brady, 18 years doing this. Patrick Mahomes, 18 games. I want to see Patrick Mahomes. I want to see Jared Goff. I want to see L.A. I want to see these young teams, these dynamic playmakers. I want to see what the next group of young, great players looks like on the biggest stage we have in sports in this country.
Let me buttress your point as well, just because Patrick Mahomes is kind of like the Tiger Woods or the Steph Curry of football. And he is a ratings driver. He is the next engine the NFL is going to ride the way they rode Peyton Manning and Tom Brady for damn near 2 decades. And the other thing that we're forgetting in Marcel's life, the Chiefs and the Rams played that video game earlier in the year, and people loved it. I didn't like it. I wanted to see some defense, but like my mother was calling and texting me about that game and how incredible it was. I think it was a Monday night game. She stayed up all the way to the end. And so I think you can sell either one of those, but nothing I don't think sells like nostalgia. And Tom Brady and Drew Brees just emote a feeling from people. Some people hate Brady, but everybody pretty much loves Drew Brees.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. Last week, we saw the highest-rated football game since the Super Bowl, which was Eagles-Saints. Think about it. Now, that was a Super Bowl champion versus the Saints. Now you bring in potentially the Patriots versus the Saints, and that's not going to be in the regular season. That will be in the Super Bowl. I just think the NFL is rooting for those economics, but I'm with you in spirit. I'm with you in terms of I love what's new. But as the NFL has proven time and time again, we love proven players and we love potential. What we could sell towards the future. But why sell the future when you can still sell the present? And that's the old guard.
Yeah, I understand the old guard. I get that. I will say this. The league has moved more toward a younger demographic. Us old school guys who love football, love the way it was, they have moved past us. They've said, hey, thanks for supporting us for the last 40 years. We hope it works out for you. But we're moving to this more millennial generation, male, female, black, white, yellow, doesn't matter to us. It's you grew up watching video games and setting up fantasy rosters, and we want the game to look as much like that as possible to continue to garner more and more of these new fans. I think the NFL loves the fact that you've got some young blood in there.
You know, I'm sorry. The craziest thing is, though, there's no combo package to sell with the Rams as it is as much as it with other teams. Like Belichick, Brady, you can sell the Patriots. We've seen it 1,000 times. Breeze and Peyton, we know that. And then you talk about Mahomes and Reed. But then when you say McVay and I'm waiting. You gonna sell Jared Goff? That's a step down in terms of the new guard having the same marketability as the old guard in all levels.
Well, when you say McVay, though,
that's enough. And
no, what the NFL hears on what they hear before they even hear McVay, they hear Los Angeles. We're selling Los Angeles and glitz and Hollywood. And again, this is where I go back to where I have a little issue. They'll sell the hell out of McVay. They'll put him on the cover of any magazine and dress him up and sell him as this sex symbol and this Hollywood guy. They have a plan for that. They don't need anybody else for McVay. They just need to make sure he don't get hit in the face before the game and he's still the little pretty boy they can sell. They'll sell that. I love your point, Mark, and you made it earlier in the season. You just brought it up again, and it was something I had forgotten about, but you had made the point earlier about this new fan base that they're catering to that's not me. And that all these kids, and again, because everybody loved that Chiefs-Rams game. I didn't. And it looked too much like a video game. And I got to remember that, you know what, young kids now go watch each other play video games. It blows my mind. The way we would go watch somebody play high school football, they're watching esports, and they've turned it into money-making endeavors.
Billion-dollar industry.
And so there is this new fan base that might prefer the kids.
Dog, we are old. Because you remember when we were growing up and somebody was playing a video game, not only you didn't want to watch, you put your quarter on top and be like, man, look, hit me back when you finish, because I'm not looking over your shoulder finishing this dig dug. And now cats are making billions of dollars off of watching somebody play a video game.
Yeah, a line of quarters.
Yeah, a line of quarters. And that's my quarter. We used to do
Mine's
that.
the third quarter in.
John was playing that football game, you had to roll the ball.
Oh, yeah.
I love that at the ball.
All day, brother.
Whitlock and Wiley, Mark Schlereth, and James Black T. Harrison are back. Let's move to New Orleans, where the Saints will host the Rams in an AFC Championship game Sunday. New Orleans' home field, the Superdome, is generally considered one of the toughest stadiums for road teams in the NFL, but the advantage this week might not be as big as it seems. With Jared Goff playing some of his best games in New Orleans, averaging over 300 yards per game with 6 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a passer rating of 109. It's tough for me to think that the Saints won't have some advantage playing in that environment. It's going to be electric. Anytime we've seen them after Hurricane Katrina or in any big moment in that dome, The crowd is electric. I think it will provide some kind of advantage just in terms of crowd noise and the Rams being able to communicate and get their signals. McVay to be heard in Goff's head in his helmet. But Marcellus, you don't think it's going to be that big of an advantage?
No, look, timing is everything. So the timing of this question, if you had asked me before I saw the Eagles game in the playoffs in the Dome, I would have said, yeah, huge advantage for the exact same reasons, the electricity and how they play at home. But I saw that Eagles team first come out and jump up 14-0 in that Dome, in that energy, and then 2 minutes to go, driving down to potentially win that game. So they neutralized the elements. They just weren't efficient enough on offense. But Jared Goff plays great in Dome games. Jared Goff plays horrible in outdoor cold games. So Jared Goff is right where he wants to be. Now you bring Jared Goff where he's comfortable, and you bring that two-headed monster in their running game with Gurley and Anderson. Woo, and the defense feeling good about themselves, and Aaron Donald, who needs to get to Drew Brees, and he will. He didn't the first game, but he will. I think that's going to be the elements they need, and that's the recipe for success. Them being in the Dome is going to actually help the Rams.
No, I think it's going to help New Orleans. You got another game further into the playoffs. The crowd is going to be a lot louder than they were. You're saying the run game, they're going to have to sit there and go on silent. So at the end of the day, like if you got a tackle that's looking in at this ball, he's going to get off the line a little slower than he's used to getting off because now he don't have the cadence to use. So, you know, the fans they're going to be livid. You know, they're going to be drinking a lot of that sauce out there. So
A lot of margaritas.
A lot of margaritas. Don't start to what, 6, something like that?
Yeah.
So,
but last week, this is a better team than the Eagles, obviously. And the Eagles it took a fake punt to really change the momentum, to get the crowd back. This is in New Orleans in the playoffs. We got to get the crowd back. Like, to hear an announcer say that, I'm like, oh, this is not good.
Even the game that the Rams won that same week, they were doing a lot of at-the-line things. That you're not going to be able to do that now. You're not going to be able to sit there.
So just from an offensive perspective, okay? Offensive linemen, supremely gifted athletes, the worst athletes on the field. Okay, now I've seen corners transition to safety. I've seen safeties transition to linebacker. I've seen linebackers go from outside to inside. I've seen linebackers go from inside to D-tackle, or D-ends go into D-tackles. And you go O-line, then fan. That's the O-line, fan. And the one advantage you have is taken away from you in crowd noise.
Right.
That's snap count.
Yep.
I'm going to jump the snap count. And when you have to go on silent, you have to kind of guess the snap count. Now, the Rams, as high-flying as they are, the Rams base out of we run the football, we set up layered routes out of play action off the running game. When you're late on snap count in the running game, it is hard to get movement. Man, and now if I have to sit back and throw the football and James got to jump on snap count on me, it's impossible. So, again, you know what? If you shut the crowd up, you can get into a rhythm, you can go. But if that crowd is like they were, you talked about them coming back from Katrina. If that crowd is like that Katrina crowd, you're in deep trouble.
Well,
as an offense.
They faced in Week 9, 45-35, Saints won. You're used to the elements to some degree, at least a little more familiar if you're the Rams. But also, New Orleans was rolling. The Rams were rolling. They were undefeated at the time, broke that streak. But I'm saying I saw you at your best, in your element, and now we get to return back to that same place. That gives the Rams, I would think, more confidence than it would the Saints, and especially the Saints have to go back to the same place that last week. They feel like that was a close game. That game was up in the air 2 minutes ago.
Here's what could happen that would favor your argument. If somehow, and the Rams have great special teams, if they can get their special teams going and get some field position, that will intimidate the crowd a little bit and shut them down just a hair. But if anything, they get them inside the 20, it's curtains, man. They pin
like you
them
said,
up.
they was down 14-0. They took a fake punt. That's all it took.
Yeah, to get them rolling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now they come out that game 20-14. There's nothing in this world can make me believe if they did that in Philly, it would have been done.
Here's what could, I mean, if Aaron Donald goes, and we saw Pete struggle at the left guard, had the broken hand, came off of surgery. We saw he had the surgery in bye week. He struggled. Aaron Donald goes crazy in this thing. You get a couple short fields, you get a couple of turnovers, and that crowd starts sitting on its hands a little bit. Then, you know, all bets are off. But, again, man, I just, having been an offensive player and you come into a game like that we'll pare down. I mean, we played a playoff game on a way to a championship in Kansas City and in Pittsburgh. And in both of those situations, we took about 30% of our playbook and scrap-piled it. So 3-step drops, 5-step drops with no hitches. No 5-step drops with a hitch, meaning the quarterback looks one and goes somewhere else. No 7-step drops, we took them out. And unless we can get the crowd out of it, we're not bringing them back in. So you're eliminating 30% of your passing playbook when you walk in there.
Uncle Jimmy's here to help us talk about our approval ratings for Patrick Mahomes. Raise that helmet up, man.
Come on, Dark
Uncle
Knight.
Jimmy of, where you from, Westerworld or?
What?
Raise that up, man.
Man, you got to go over the afro. Look at that.
You don't even know where Westerworld is on the map, man. If we gave you the globe, you couldn't even spot Westerworld.
We bought you books, we sent you to school, and all you did was ate the covers, remember? I ain't judging you.
Get him.
Oh, man, all right, let's get to our highlight from our discussion earlier about Patrick Mahomes. Do any of y'all watch Game of Thrones? Chiefs Kingdom is coming. It's our time.
Woo.
Patriots know they're on borrowed time.
Tom Brady and those guys may have finally shown us the mask of underdog, but they've been thinking that way all year long. So part of their motivation to get to this place once again, despite the fractures in the organization and an aging roster and a depleted talent roster, is they're still thinking we got to go to work. And they're thinking that's going to come in the underdog version. To me, it's a sign of strength. Strength, right
Uncle
there.
Jimmy, I'm very confident.
Yep.
I broke out my Patrick Mahomes wig earlier in the
here you
show.
go, here you
Putting
go.
it back on.
right.
Very confident in our Kansas City Chiefs. What's your take?
Your ass better be lucky this is a fake sword. I swear to God, I would debile you right now. I swear.
Why? What would you debile me for?
Look how you put it back. Put the sword back again.
What, man?
Man, look, first of all, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell everybody, New England, everybody, I'm betting everything I own on the New England Patriots. Game's going to be a blowout.
Man, you from Kansas City, man.
Yeah.
Jason, you the biggest damn jinx in Kansas City sports history.
He ain't even say
Explain to me why in the hell you would go on national TV and pick the Chiefs to win. Big dummy.
Give him
Man,
something.
I'm not a jinx.
The hell you say?
I'm not a jinx.
Last week, you picked my advice. Went on that show right there. Picked the Colts to win. What happened? Chiefs won. Easy. Stick to the damn plan, dummy. Run the play. It was working. Now here you go. You get all gassed up. Now you want to go start snapping off on Tom Brady. Hey, despite contrary belief, you ain't the only black person to watch Game of Thrones. I watch Game of Thrones. Tom Brady is, what's that boy name? John Stone.
Yeah, you right.
Even when he dead, he ain't dead.
Look, man. Chiefs
Because of your big mouth, watch the Chiefs win the game in regulation. Watch the referee come up with a new rule.
Uh-oh, here we go.
We're going to go into overtime.
Again.
Tom Brady, miraculously, there we go.
Look, man.
Guarantee you something crazy going to happen in that game. Guarantee.
Look, man, Chiefs ain't losing this weekend.
Headsets go out.
Yes,
something like that.
we are.
Uh-oh.
Remember the 1995 Chiefs? 13-3. You wrote a column guaranteeing we was going to kill the Colts. Lost 10-7.
Whitlock.
Lynn Elliott missed 7, 8 field goals.
Damn.
The whole Colts team was chanting your name in the locker room. Am I lying? Am I lying?
Oh, that's true.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
Rod, but yeah, but that was just bad luck, man. That was bad luck.
Okay, I'm listening.
That was bad luck.
Okay, that's bad luck. What about the 1998 season?
Whitlock.
You said we was going 16-0.
Oh, damn.
If I'm not mistaken, that was the season Andre Rison tried to beat you up in the parking lot after the Giants game. Linebacker Wayne Simmons jumped on your ass at Diamond Joe's strip club, had hot wings and nacho juice all over everywhere.
Nacho juice.
Chiefs just bailed out and Marty Schottenheimer quit.
Look, man, that wasn't my fault. They choked. They choked.
You're a damn jinx, Jake.
Any new evidence? Guys, more?
Chiefs, Royals never won a damn thing the whole time you was in Kansas City. As soon as you left, what did the Royals do?
They won the World
Won
Series.
the World Series.
Really? I mean,
Now we got a Super Bowl caliber team. And now who want to jump back on the bandwagon? Knocking little kids off.
they felt it.
Look, man, we gotta go to our approval. Right?
Yeah,
If we
gotta work
lose
with
this
it.
game,
we gotta.
you're
Go.
gonna wish you was John Stark.
John Stark.
Uncle Jimmy gonna have a replay of the red wedding on your ass. I'm serious. You think I'm playing with you?
Did it say John Starks?
John Stark's playing for the Knicks. I think you talking about Ned Stark. Look, man, I don't have Pat Mahomes at a GOAT. He's 79. 24 in all categories except for all-time greatest. I got him at a 7 up 1 point.
That's kind of low all-time greatness. Like, the dude,
He ain't won MVP yet.
Okay.
He's
he
going
won
to,
the
but
offensive MVPs and all the other little baby awards. And that's coming.
Let's
He's perfect
go
everywhere else.
Kryptonite.
Perfect everywhere
Come
else.
on,
and his
Kryptonite.
all-time greatnest will be it. He'll be our first 100 player we've
Tear
ever
your
done on
tickets
the show.
up. It's over.